It's an honor to have you on the show. Thank you for doing this, agreeing to do this. We've had so many great people on, and I've always wanted to meet you. So
Thank you.
the first thing we're talking about black film. Like we talked to a lot of people about their opinions on black film and the current state of black cinema. How would you define? What is your definition of black film?
Just what you said, black film.
It
Black
doesn't.
film. Only thing I would change is black film in a white racist system.
Okay, because
And the blackest film that's ever been made was made by a white boy, Tarantino, and Django Unchained. Never been nothing like that.
you really like that one.
I went 46 times to see it.
Well, why do you say it's the blackest black film?
Because it was a story of a black man and a black woman, a love story, and it wasn't no fucking, no drinking, no cussing. Never have that ever happened in the history of Hollywood. Never, never, never. No sex. Hmm? And it's a real story. See, it probably couldn't have ran if we knew that Jamie Foxx played the role of the first person who died at Harper's Ferry with John Brown. He went there with 26 people, 5 black, and Dangerfield Newby was the first person. They found a letter in his pocket, and that was the letter they was talking about in the film with his wife. My problem was, I knew the story of John Brown. If I had to take everybody that's ever lived in the history of the planet, including Jesus, not God, and Jesus, and write them in order, John Brown would be ahead of Jesus Christ. And most black folk don't even know that.
Wow.
Why? Jesus came here to die for our sins. Okay? John Brown didn't come here to die for our sins. He was a white man that somewhere a conscience was there. And think about John Brown, the greatest movement in the history of the planet was a group of white folks, abolitionists, especially up in Boston way, abolition. Now, they didn't get paid. They was talking about freeing black folks, and there was no bounty on how many black folks you can free. And the reason John Brown is my hero, I will die. You got to go a long ways to get blacker than me. He took his 2 sons with him. 2 sons with him. I'm not taking my grandchildren with me. And if it was back when my youngsters, my children was going, I wouldn't take them with me. He did, a white man.
Now, are you
And had
drawing?
it not been for him, we wouldn't be here now. I mean, America. It was that raid on Harper's Ferry that tipped off the Civil War.
Now, but Django got a lot of criticism for the use of the N-word.
Let me tell you something about black folks. Did you see the Abraham Lincoln movie? You see how many times they used nigger? Nobody criticized that. Huh? Did you see The Butler? Nobody criticized that. Okay? It's a game they play. That's what I said in the beginning. Black movies in racist Hollywood? I mean, think about that. Here's a white man put a movie together where Jamie Foxx and that white boy was blowing white folks' head off, and they showed the blood splatting on the wall. That's why I said I wanted to see it. I don't give a damn what it did for anybody else. I know what it did. All my life I've been to movies. Before there was television. Man, I sit there and cried when I saw Jamie Foxx right in town. Why? I've only seen white boys in cowboy movies. They didn't even have black buckwheats in cowboy movies. That was all white. And they Powered me up so bad I'd go to a cowboy movie and pull for the cowboy over the Indian, okay? And so I'm sitting there and watch Jamie Foxx and this white boy stroll into town. And when that white woman said, "A nigger on a horse," and then they rolled up, got off the horse, and tied the horse there to the stall, man. Wow. I said, "Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you."
So, I mean, you've been in this game for a minute. Like, how do you think it's changed, or has it changed? As long as you've seen it, black films, black filmmaking.
Well, I don't get it. They make black films. You know, it's black folks in film, but they're not black folks in film. We accepted black film without any restrictions because the movies was the most powerful thing in the history of the planet. Why? Because you could make a mistake and correct it. You took your camera out there to a fire and you missed it, you can't. But you could correct it. You could slant it any way you wanted it to go. And so, how do I not treat myself to the most powerful thing in the world? And so, and I didn't care who you was, just a black face. Probably one of the biggest money makers, not now, at that time was Stephen Fetchit. Most folks don't know that. I mean, more money than white folks made. Why? Because when white folks looked at him, he was strengthening their stereotype. And when I looked at him, I just saw a black person. See, it didn't bother me because I knew black doctors as a boy. It's in the family. Black school teachers, black principals. White folks never had a balance at all. They saw him. And plus, you know what a good actor he is, he was probably the #1 pimp in the history of America. So for him to come from that role, had a stable of nothing but white women in L.A. and had 43 Bentleys. So you got to understand what kind of actor he was when he can take that character off and say, "How's the boss? Whatever y'all need, huh?"
Oh, did you ever get a chance to meet him or any of the early those guys that were forced to play those stereotypes?
No, they wasn't forced. We don't give them no break, man. Huh? So a whole lot of women would starve to death before they would sell pussy to feed their children. They would believe death is better. So we always want to come up and pick up some slack. Soldiers going to war, huh? To kill folks you don't even know and come back and they shoot your mom in the back of the head and you ain't gonna go get no gun. No. See, that's the beautiful thing now. There's a new mindset coming through that ain't gonna tolerate none of that crap that they told us at all. My mother, if she was alive today, she'd call the police on me, most of the shit I be saying. Why? My mother raised 6 of us by herself. 2 weeks after New Year's, she did other jobs so she could raise money that we would have a good Christmas. And they told me a white boy brought it to me. There's no excuse for that, even if it was my mama. Huh? None whatsoever. Can you imagine a Jew bringing toys and stuff to their children and telling them Hitler and the Nazis brought them? That's, see, the most ignorant, stupid things that ever happened to me. Everything I was doing bad, the Ku Klux Klan did, I got it from my mama at home. At home.
So you talk about this new crop of people. I mean, what from your perspective, what do you think is the current state of black film today?
Well, see, I don't see that many films. And there's not that many black films to judge from, you know.
But you've seen Belle, right? You talked about seeing Belle on one of your podcasts.
Yeah.
and 42.
But that's not a. You mean the girl in London?
The movie, the English
Yeah, but
movie.
that ain't no black film. You serious? How many black folks did you see in that film? See, this is the problem. That's a white film. When I hear you say black film, I thought you talking about black folks.
Well, is a black director and writer
In what?
in for Bell. You know.
So everybody go to the movie know that that's a nigga that did that. Come on, man. You know it because this is your job, huh? You know what's in the hamburger meat if you grinding it up. I don't know when I'm eating the hamburger. So you bringing your professional stuff in here and think my mama she don't understand that. Black film to black folks is how many black folks do you see? Huh? There'll come a day when you are a black person that's already directed film with no black folks in it. But that ain't a black film to me. The mind ain't ready for it. We so far behind on it, you know. And so I tell people, Bell, 20 years or 50 years before they can do another movie to equal that. And if I had to close my eyes and look at it and say, who wrote that?
Right. So one of the things, like a lot of the movies recently that.
Wait, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you
I say Mark Twain wrote it. That's Mark Twain stuff, man.
Okay.
Huh? I mean, you look at that. The white girl on welfare and the sister is rural. She gets this big piece of money, and the white girl don't get nothing. Wow, man, how can you twist that like that? I just sit there and looked at it, and then I kept going back and realized that's Academy Award. I'll be shocked if they get it. Him, the old white dude, and her. Whew. And I didn't know they from America until I called my wife. I mean, she played that role. I thought I was in London looking at a play with British people. I mean, it was
It's
just
really well done film. So, but there've been more because of the technology. There are more films being made by black people than
well. See,
ever.
you know that.
Right.
Huh? You know that.
Yeah.
But people who don't know that.
Right.
You know, how many black folks in America has a McDonald's franchise? If you was a business person in that, you would know. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just setting you up. I'm
Yeah.
throwing you a softball.
Yeah.
So, last year there were more black films made, and there were like 20 that were released nationally theatrically, including and the biggest grossers were like 42, which was directed by a white person.
Yep.
But it was about Jackie Robinson and The Butler. Those made over $100 million each. The year before that, The Help was a big hit. Made over $100 million. Why do you think that the stories and the 12 Years a Slave won the Academy Award? Do you see a trend in those types of films?
Yeah, I look at 12 Years Slave as a trick, man. I didn't buy into that bullshit, And the guy that said he wrote it, he didn't write it. I know that, It's like somebody called me what's the guy, the spook that sit by the door, Greenleaf. He didn't write that. Well, let's take it real simple. How come he didn't do another book? See, I don't even believe the great book that sold The Invisible Man. I don't believe he wrote that. How you do one book that brilliant and can't do another one? I ain't buy that. About 45 years ago, I was in Paris. My phone rings. Dick Gregory, so-and-so, so-and-so. Got something you need to see. Can we come up? No, I'll come down. I'll come down. Give me a script. See, we'd like to leave this with you and come back tomorrow and see what you think of it. I don't read nothing overnight for nobody. I start reading this, and I couldn't stop. It was called The Nigger That Sit by the Door. And I said, wow, man, what a, whew. He said, it's yours. Mine. Is this some kind of trick? I put it out. And then somebody comes and said, he didn't write. No. I said, oh, no, it's yours. I said, well, let me tell you, I like this so well. Let me read through it, and if I can make enough changes in it that I can feel that it's mine without changing it, then, and I never called them back or talked back, and the next thing I know, I see this piece of shit coming out. In the real one, those were white folks getting killed. In this one, it's in Chicago, and black folks killing black cops. So they called me and said he died, and I know, not me. I thought he was dead.
Right. So, but in terms of there's like the most successful black films, you know, from my perspective, they tend to treat racism as if it were something that happened in the past. You know, like The Help or 42. Like racism, prejudice was something that was conquered in the 50s and 60s. You know, why do you think these types of movies get all the money or make more, hundreds of millions, whereas
we don't know if they're making money or not. Let me tell you, if they take a book of yours and want to make it a bestseller, they buy thousands of copies and throw them in the ocean. And that week you come up on the New York Times bestseller. I don't find all that bullshit, man. In no shape, form, or fashion. See, I know what they do. And they do it so much, even when the real one come through, I have to question it.
So, I mean, do you think of film as a form of social programming, or?
Sure, it's always been. Okay. Always been.
All right. So let's go back then. You talked about how when you were growing up watching.
Well, let me ask you something.
Sure.
Did you see the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Mm-hmm.
Go back and see it again. That's about the Kansas City First National, Kansas City Federal Reserve. That's what that's about. Did you see the movie King Kong?
Mm-hmm.
That's about Jack Johnson and the white women. What's a gorilla doing in New York? Ain't no trees, and Lord knows ain't no bananas. What's there? The boxing capital of the world, Madison Square Garden. So sometimes you look at it and you don't see the code, see through the code. The Other Side of Midnight is about Kennedy did not die in Dallas. He was a vegetable. Okay? And then if you look at the movie that Frank Sinatra made,
Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah. Now, when that came out, before Kennedy was hit, and they realized, the big boys, that they paid Sinatra and them hundreds of millions of dollars to pull that off the market for X amount of years. Now they know it's getting ready to come back on, so Denzel Washington, he don't know nothing, he's just an actor. He don't know nothing. Brilliant actor, that's all I expect out of him. So when Denzel Washington did the Manchurian Candidate, it was different. So all the young folks is born that saw the Manchurian Candidate, they didn't see the real one. Didn't see that Lee Harvey Oswald was treated the same way with brain control, you know. So that's what they do. They can do that anytime they want because they're in power.